on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning live on Fox Local, fox35orlando.com, and on YouTube. We appreciate you joining us today and have a lot to get to. I want to go ahead and give you a live look right now. This is at the Orlando City Hall where they are, the city and city leaders are celebrating the Orlando Valkyries 2025 PVF, that's Pro Volleyball Federation champions. They won last weekend in Las Vegas, really coming off a tough season last year, turned it around and won a championship being celebrated today at City Hall. We just heard from some of the players. We heard from Mayor Dyer speaking just a few moments ago as well. This celebration started around 10:30 and so it's kind of wrapped up and taking some pictures right now. You see the championship trophy in the very front there. You could, partially obscured, but it is there. The mayor reading a proclamation, giving a key to the city, telling them that they are welcome anywhere they go in the city of Orlando. There's that trophy you see being held. So congratulations to the Orlando Valkyries being honored this morning at City Hall. We have a number of other things we are tracking this morning, including the release of the NFL schedules last night. We're going to talk with Brandon Kravitz about that, some things that stand out, especially when it comes to our teams here in Florida. What do you need to watch for? What games do you need to circle on the calendars? And what does it mean for the upcoming seasons for the Jags, the Dolphins, and the Bucks? We are also going to be speaking with an attorney around 11:30 about the FSU shooting suspect Phoenix Ikner being indicted by a grand jury in Leon County. What are the next steps? What happens now? And when will we learn some more information about a potential motive in this? And we are beginning this morning with a sad story in Lake Nona, where we know there's been a large police response, large fire rescue response as well since yesterday, investigating a potential drowning. This is at Cortland Nona Apartments in Orlando at a lake behind Pioneers Way and Narcoossee Road. Again, like I said, crews have been on the scene since yesterday afternoon, and Fox 35's Amanda McKenzie tells us what we know so far.
Good morning. Orlando police have been on the scene for almost 16 hours now, and you can see an Orlando police vehicle across the retention pond between the Lake Whippoorwill, and there's also a boat with several folks on it. It has been slowly passing along the shore, looking in the water for the past couple of hours. Orlando Fire tells us the dive team responded to a water rescue yesterday for a 911 call that came in as a drowning. On Wednesday evening, our cameras captured first responders on the scene. You can see some caution tape and people looking into the water. We know officials were called to the lake along Pioneers Way just after 5:30 on Wednesday. This morning, we spoke with a resident about what he saw and heard yesterday.
Well, that's it. I really hope they find the kid. Just think about the family. I don't know them, and I mean, it's sometimes what kids do, but it's really unfortunate.
Right now, we are still working to get confirmation on some information that has been circling among residents here during this search. We have a call out to the Orlando Police Department, so as soon as we have more information, we'll be sure to share that with you. Something else of note, these bodies of water are known to have alligators. In fact, we even saw one for ourselves this morning, so that could be slowing down the search effort.
Fox 35 does have another reporter at the scene who will be following up on this throughout the day. Hope to have some updates for you as we continue to track what is a potentially a sad situation there at Cortland Nona Apartments. More than 100 employees at Full Sail University are going to be looking for new jobs. That is after the school confirmed to Fox 35 that they are eliminating 120 positions. Fox 35's Marley Capper tells us what we know.
The faculty and staff is shocked. They say they found out over a Zoom meeting. The university says these cuts are part of what they're calling a workforce reduction. In a statement, a spokesperson said, quote, "This decision, while difficult, follows a careful review that aligns our resources and capabilities for long-term sustainability." We spoke to one of those employees who was laid off.
It's terrible. Like, it's, you know, I have a family, I have kids, I have a mortgage, and none of that stuff's going to stop. So having to scramble in this market and in this economy to find a job normally would be tough. And now you just have this many more people let off into the Orlando market. It's going to make it that much harder.
The university says there will be no changes to courses or to student services.
And give you a live look right now at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera on this Thursday morning. Beautiful day out there, and it is hot and going to be getting even hotter. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson joins me now. And Jess, we've been talking about this heat wave that's coming, but these temperatures are going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, we're approaching almost dangerously hot levels at this point. So this is going to be the time to, I know it sounds pretty redundant and pretty obvious, but just make sure you're staying hydrated.
Yeah.
Keep the extra water bottle with you, maybe have a refillable one ready to go, and limit your time outside if you can, especially, you know, heading into this weekend. Just make sure you're taking lots of breaks, not doing too much in the way of strenuous activity. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But, you know, this is not terribly uncommon for us to see this time of year, but it doesn't mean it doesn't still cause you to sweat and it doesn't still stink. So that's one of the takeaways, I feel like. So 94 degrees is going to be our high today in Orlando. We'll see plenty of sunshine, which is going to help to give us that nice boost temperature-wise. 94, as I mentioned, will be our high not only in Orlando, but also Claremont to Leesburg, Bushnell, and the Villages. 93 in DeLand and Sanford. Up to 89 in Daytona Beach. 88 in New Smyrna, even 93 in Palm Coast, so some spots will certainly get quite hot. Cocoa Beach at 85 degrees will be your high today, and 87 in Melbourne. So really this heat wave is going to be stemming from this large area of high pressure, and you're probably wondering, you know, when is it going to end? Well, the thing about high pressure systems is they can be pretty relentless in terms of how long they take to move out or break down for the pattern to kind of change. And that's certainly going to be the case with this scenario. So it's going to be hot. We'll start to see humidity build in somewhat as we head over the course of Monday. But then looking ahead, we're talking, you know, end of May, we could see the potential of a couple of strong to severe storms in terms of the signals as a whole. So that's going to be something we have to monitor pretty closely, because it usually takes a pretty stout system to swing through and help to kind of reset the stage for you know, the overall the forecast, and for things to change. It usually has to help push that high pressure out of the region, and that's what that next system is going to be doing as we look ahead towards, you know, maybe a small chance towards the end of next week, but especially so about 2 weeks or so from now. It looks like we have a pretty big system swinging through. But I do want to talk about Welcome to Rockville, because that is still taking shape this weekend, and it's going to be a hot one. I know we have lots of fun beverages to choose from, including energy drinks and maybe drinks that have alcohol in them, and those are known to dehydrate you too, so just make sure you're adding water into the mix as well. It's going to be a lot of fun though. Amazing lineup too. I was taking a peek at it yesterday, and really impressive lineup, and a lot of the headliners are going to be at night for the most part, and I do think that helps us out quite a bit. But with the amount of people that still will be there, I mean, temperatures will still also be in the 80s, so just, you know, keep that in mind. Be aware if you start to feel dizzy, you can notice changes in your body, and just really honestly pay attention to your body and how it's reacting to a lot of this heat. So 92 will be your high tomorrow and Saturday, and 90 by Sunday, so still quite hot. I mean, even by the beach standards, so that's still pretty warm even for Daytona Beach. And this is actually going to be in the infield of the Daytona racetrack, so it's really important to make sure that you are staying hydrated. So I really think it's honestly going to be maybe even feeling a little hotter once you're, you know, at the speedway there. So just keep that in mind. We're going to be talking about the heat for a while, because the next several days feature highs in the mid 90s at least. So a high of 96 for this weekend, Saturday and Sunday in Orlando. Much of us will be in the mid 90s at that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a high of 97 degrees. So this is certainly a little warmer than usual for us. This is typically on average around the time we would see that. But it is going to be just a really hot stretch here over the next several days. Humidity isn't going to be quite as, you know, unbearable as what we would see maybe in August or July, but we start to see those heat indices, so the heat index, those numbers will start to approach the triple-digit range as we head over the course of maybe Monday and Tuesday, as the hottest of the temperatures make their way in. But regardless, at least we're dry. I'm trying to look at the bright side of things. Dry and sunny, just it's going to be pretty hot. But in my opinion, and I've said this a lot, I don't mind the heat so much if you don't have to spend a ton of time outside doing labor-intensive work. You know, if I'm at the pool, I don't mind it at all, of course, or the
Right.
beach. So that helps a lot. But I know not all of us are a fan of the mid 90s, especially this early. So
Yeah.
just a couple of takeaways for you.
Well, the problem is it doesn't take long to really get hot or overheated in that when you're talking about those temperatures. And for all those folks out at Rockville, I will say, so yesterday evening on Fox 35 News Plus at 4, I made Laurel, I think, cringe with all of the puns that I made, weather-related puns based on the band names. So I won't subject you to that, but so be thankful that I'm not doing that again.
I appreciate that, but I'm also a little curious to hear them.
I'll give you one. I said we can't let the weather be a bad omen. So there, we'll leave it at that. I love that you
have a list going. That's great.
I do. I had like 5 or 6. It was a lot to handle. And at the very end of that, our associate producer was calling me corny, so he had one of his own. So, well, we will wrap it up here before we get
corny.
Right. But we will go ahead and wrap this up before I get too far into the puns again. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Jessica Dobson, we appreciate you joining us. Mm-hmm. It is quite a lineup, though, puns or not. Shinedown headlining tonight at Daytona International Speedway. The first band going to take the stage at noon, so a little less than an hour from now, but it is going to be loud. It is going to be hot all weekend as well. And Fox 35's Morgan Parrish has more from Daytona.
Hey, good morning. Let me tell you, we can already feel the heat out here, but it is not stopping fans from coming out for Rockville this year. We know at least 200,000 people are expected to show up, and we've already seen them out here in full force. So joining me right now, we have Miranda. She came all the way from Corpus Christi, Texas for Rockville. Miranda, how are you doing?
Doing good, feeling good. Really excited for this weekend.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to most?
Looking forward to all the bands, specifically Korn. Super excited for Korn and all the undercard bands. So we're really excited.
Now, it is super hot out here, and it is early in the morning, and we haven't even reached the extreme temperatures yet. Are you nervous about being out in this heat?
A little bit. It's pretty, we have similar weather in Texas, but it's still pretty killer.
Yeah, did you bring your sunscreen, your water? Are you prepared?
We got water, we got tons of sunscreen, we got tons of hats, so we're ready to go.
Ready to go. All right, now have you been here before in the past, or is this your first time?
This will be our first time.
Oh, okay. Well, you're lucky because with this heat, organizers, they prepared, they added like extra cooling stations and misting stations, 50% more water spigots to make sure everybody's good, and there's also going to be a shaded area in the grandstand, so you're in luck this year.
Perfect.
And then, what are you looking forward to throughout the weekend? Did you do the pre-party yesterday at the campground?
No, we didn't get to do the pre-party. We flew in a little bit later.
Okay.
But we're excited just for the memories that we're going to make and all the bands we're going to see.
Yeah, very fun. All right, well, have fun. Hopefully I get to come out here, and hopefully you stay cool. It is going to be hot. So again, everybody just stay safe if you are headed out to Daytona this weekend for Rockville, but we know it is going to be a good time. A lot of great bands on the lineup. We have Green Day, Good Charlotte, Taking Back Sunday, Korn, like you mentioned, and a whole lot more. For now, reporting in Daytona, I'm Morgan Parrish, Fox 35 News.
And we're going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday morning, or not Monday, thankfully not Monday, Thursday morning, live on fox35orlando.com, Fox Local, and also on YouTube. We are getting closer to June 1st and the start of hurricane season. And yesterday, the U.S. Senate Special Committee on Aging held a hearing yesterday about disaster preparedness, specifically for older Americans, senior citizens. They talked about the need for seniors to have clear emergency plans. They talked about the vulnerabilities of older adults when it comes to natural disasters and other emergencies. And they also talked about the unique needs that seniors face when it comes to these natural disasters. I want to play for you the opening remarks of Senator Rick Scott, a Republican from Florida, who is the chairman of this Senate committee, and what he had to say as we know we are just a couple of weeks now from the start of hurricane season.
The U.S. Senate Special Committee on Aging will now come to order. Today we are gathered to highlight the importance of disaster preparedness. Natural disasters do not discriminate. It doesn't matter how old you are, how much money you have, or how smart you think you might be. If you aren't prepared, nothing else matters. And while being prepared is vital for everyone, it is especially important for seniors who often have different and more complex needs than their younger neighbors and friends. As a senior senator from Florida, I'm no stranger to disasters. During my 8 years as governor and 6 years serving Floridians in the U.S. Senate, I've seen the destruction left behind by multiple devastating hurricanes in the Sunshine State. If there's one lesson I've learned, it's that preparedness saves lives. There is no alternative to getting prepared and having a disaster plan. When disasters strike, the things around us can be replaced, but if you don't protect your life, there is no second chance. I tell Floridians constantly during hurricane season, you can rebuild your home, but you cannot rebuild your life. I cannot tell you how many Floridians I have talked to that barely survived hurricanes and wish they would have done more to be prepared. I've also talked to heartbroken families that lost a loved one who didn't take these storms seriously. I'll never forget talking to a young man in Mexico Beach, which is in our panhandle, the day after Hurricane Michael made its devastating landfall there in 2018. He was frantically searching for his elderly mother, who had stayed in her home on the beach to ride out the storm. Because he said, he tried to get her to evacuate, but she said, oh, I've lived here forever, and nothing's gonna happen. Unfortunately, that young man wouldn't find his mom until days later. She'd been swept away by the massive storm surge and didn't survive. It breaks your heart to hear these stories. She should still be alive today. My hope is that our hearing today will motivate older Americans to take disaster preparedness seriously. Hurricane season is just weeks away, and being prepared saves lives. Being from Florida, it's no surprise that most of my experience with disasters has come from responding to hurricanes. But it's not just storms that folks need to prepare for. We all have seen devastating wildfires, tornadoes, earthquakes, and other natural disasters impact our country. We have to remember that disaster can strike at any moment. That is why being prepared and having a plan is so important, especially for our aging population who face unique challenges. Older Americans are disproportionately affected by natural disasters. In Florida, nearly 60% of the deaths from Hurricane Ian were seniors. So if you're a senior, if you have loved ones who are seniors, or anyone watching this right now, go to ready.gov and see what you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared to make a plan. That includes having an evacuation plan and knowing what to do if you must leave your home. You should also make sure to stock up on emergency supplies like food, water, first aid supplies. For our seniors especially, a really important part of this is making sure to have medications. You have to make sure you have a plan that ensures you have enough medicine to last a week. There's so many things to think about, but when you have a plan in place and get prepared in advance, it's so much easier and less stressful than trying to get everything done with a storm barreling through the Atlantic or Gulf of America. I'm so glad to have the witnesses before us today and have them share their expertise and experience. Listen to them. It could very well be the difference in saving your life should disaster strike. Don't put your family and your loved ones at risk. Don't wait to take actions. Get prepared today.
And if you go to ready.gov, as Senator Scott talked about, there is a page on there that talks about making a plan. Specifically, kind of tells you the questions to consider when it comes to making that plan. You can create a family emergency plan. All of those steps that he was talking about. I will note we also heard Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco was one of the witnesses who testified in that hearing yesterday. We did hear a little bit of that yesterday on Fox 35 News Plus at 4 o'clock. We are going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back in 2 minutes.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us. Orange County deputies continue to hunt for a man who's accused of attacking a woman at an assisted living facility in Orlando. This happened last month. It was captured on surveillance video. We've shown it to you here on Fox 35 News Plus. You can see the man walking into the Harbor Chase of Dr. Phillips Center last month, the assisted living facility there. It's been spotted multiple times in the last few weeks, but still no arrest made in this. Again, deputies still looking for who this might be. Barb Bergen, who's the executive director of Crime Line, was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about this case, what we know, and how you might be able to help investigators.
This is one of those stories that kind of shocked people when they saw it. What do we know at this time?
Well, here's the thing. We know he's stuck around in the area, which is concerning. So he's somehow gained access to an assisted living facility. He battered someone inside the facility, came back to the property a little bit later, and has been known to be in the area of Pin Oak Drive, which is in that Dr. Phillips area, probably on foot, probably potentially homeless. A young black male. He's described as being 20 to 30 years old, slim build, wearing a dark colored hoodie, dark pants and dark slides, wearing the same thing every time he's been seen. So we're asking people who live in that area. That's probably the best picture.
Yeah.
And he's doing this at 7 o'clock at night.
You can't see his face, but people at least can see the build. And I think you know in your investigations, not only look at the video, but around that area, because he's probably been in the area a decent amount.
So if you live in the area, you frequent the area, you see him, you can call us immediately. Preferably, if you see him right here now, you can call 911 and tell him I see this guy that you're looking for, or you can give a tip if you know anything about who may have done this.
And Barb, this takes us back to, we talk about a lot of these crimes. You just don't know what they're capable of next, and that's the concern.
And obviously there's no fear. He hasn't left the area. He's stayed around. That to me is a little bit more alarming. So again, anybody who lives in the area, if you've seen him, you know where he frequents. He could be somebody who's been living in the area, who knows where, and you know where to see him on a regular basis. That would help the detectives maybe get a name on him.
At least there is surveillance video that helps give you something, right?
It does, yeah. So again, that little piece of the puzzle, just the name or a place where we can go look for this individual that looks like this would be helpful.
No matter how small you might think it is, reach out to Barb. You can do it anonymously.
It is a start, at least, again, as investigators try to piece together that puzzle that Barb was talking about. Well, the Orange County Animal Shelter is overwhelmed with cats and kittens right now. It is kitten season, and the shelter there has grown by about 200 kittens just since the beginning of May, so just in the past couple of weeks. So they need some help. Fox 35's Marley Capper has more.
Good evening, everybody. We are here at the Orange County Animal Services, and it is the start of kitten season. So who better to talk to than Brian Almeida? First of all, how are you doing tonight?
Good, good. Busy.
It's been really busy. We have a cutie with us. Who is this?
This is Yoshi. This little girl's Yoshi. Very cute, 9 weeks old. Ready to go home.
Ready to go home. Okay, you guys have over 200 kittens that you got in May alone, which is crazy.
It's insane. In the past 15 days, we've taken over 250 kittens in.
Wow. That's just like beyond me, that number. Yeah, well, let's show you some of the kittens that we have here that are ready for adoption because they're just so cute. Can you tell us a little bit about, what is kitten season and why we're seeing so many?
Well, this is a time of year that happens every year where cats start to procreate multiple times a year, and a lot of the litters find themselves here at the shelter.
Wow. And a big thing we were talking about earlier is sometimes people will see the kittens and actually take them from their moms, which is dangerous to the kittens because then they're not having their milk supply, they're not having the nutrients that they need from their mom, and if they end up here, it could be dangerous, right?
Absolutely. The best survival rate for a kitten is to stay with its mom, and most people don't understand that, so they think they're doing the right thing, and they bring these little baby bottle kittens to us.
And then when they come here, you guys are actually having to hand feed them, right?
Yes, and it's very labor intensive. And this is why we need fosters. We need all the help we can get.
Wow, okay. And you guys also have a ton of cats and kittens already.
Yes, we do.
Like 300 something you said?
Over 350 animals in foster care right now.
Wow. Okay, so how can the community help you guys?
Well, right now, the most important thing we're looking for is just fosters, families that are willing to take the time and take these litters in and just care for them, especially while they're still too young to be adopted out.
Okay, so we definitely need some people to help out with the bottle feeding. And how much are adoptions and how can people come and adopt maybe Yoshi?
All cats are $50 this month. So you get a cat that's microchipped, spayed and neutered, and just ready to go home, ready to love.
Oh my gosh, and she is so cute, and I love how soft she is. And the little pads on her feet are so cute as well. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Okay, you guys come on down, adopt some kittens, and they're just so cute. We'll send things back to you for now.
They definitely are cute, and if you're looking for one, you know where to go. Well, we have talked about the heat wave coming just in time for this weekend, talked about the importance of staying safe out there because we're going to be seeing 90-degree temperatures, not going to be seeing rain, nothing really to cool it down. You're going to see a lot of sunshine and those high temperatures, high humidity. Dr. Case Tedder is a family medicine physician with Orlando Health. He was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about some ways to stay safe in the sun.
Let's talk first about this extreme heat. It's been a while, right? I think we sort of got lulled into a false sense of, normal weather for the last couple of months, and now the heat is descending upon us. What do we need to know before we ever go outside?
I think the most important things that we stay cautious about and be mindful of as the summer comes back is staying hydrated, making sure we have access to cool environments or places that have air conditioning, and then using protective equipment, sunglasses, hats, sunscreen, and protective covering like clothing to keep us safe during the hottest times of the year.
Dr. Tedder, what specifically about being hydrated is important? Because I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to, if I'm out in the sun, I'm going to drink a lot of water. But it needs to start before you go outside. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So the most important thing, I think, is we don't wait until we're thirsty to start consuming water. So the recommendation, between 80 to 120 ounces of water a day without, extreme heat exposure. So maybe even more than that. But getting a jump start on it and drinking even before you're exposed to the sun and continuing that rehydration, during your exposure.
What are some of the signs we should be looking for as far as like heat stroke or that we've been out too long?
Yeah, so I think you have, a more common thing is heat exhaustion. So we can see situations where people become very sweaty, they have, dizziness or nausea, and that's a situation where we just get them in cooler weather, we, loosen clothing and rehydrate. When you start to see a situation where people may have a higher temperature, they become confused or lethargic, they can even, develop seizure symptoms or become unconscious, that's when, we need to act quickly, preferably get them, water or ice that they can be exposed to, and then call for help, call 911 so medical professionals can intervene.
So certainly a lot of good advice there, things to keep in mind throughout the weekend as we deal with this stretch of 90-degree weather and no rain or anything in sight. We are going to take a break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we will be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning. Court documents show that yesterday a grand jury indicted Florida State University shooting suspect Phoenix Ikner on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 7 counts of attempted first-degree murder with a firearm. That came just a day after his first appearance in Leon County Court. We know this is a case that is getting a lot of attention, and we will now want to kind of look ahead and see what the next steps are, what we can expect as this case moves forward. And so joining us live now via Zoom to talk about that is Stacy Felter, an attorney with Felter Law. And Stacy, we really appreciate you joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so first appearance, he has been indicted, being held right now without bond. What are some of the next steps that we will be watching for in this case?
Absolutely. It is my understanding he was indigent, so he has received a public defender. I believe the first steps will be to have what's called an Arthur hearing, a bond hearing. That because he's held on zero bond, a lot of people will ask me questions. Why isn't the bond set? In any case, don't we have a right to a bond? When it's a punishable by life, there's several crimes that do not guarantee that you have, that the court will give a bond on those charges. So in this case, it was denied bond. And so the public defender will most likely do what's called a motion for bond and have what's called an Arthur hearing to show that he's not a danger, that he's got somewhere to live. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and there will be a hearing on that. The chances are probably unlikely that he will receive a bond in this case, especially due to the high profile, the high profile.
Yeah, I was going to ask kind of what factors the court would be looking at in kind of deciding that. It would be hard to kind of fathom that he would be granted a bond.
Correct. So is he a danger to society, to himself? Where is he going to live? Does he have a job? There's a whole lot of factors that go into it. Due to what happened and what he's accused of happening, and the allegations against him, it's going to be very difficult to be able to prove with the court to allow him out on bond. The defense attorney will argue that it's very difficult to work on the defense, to get him evaluated, to do anything that is necessary to give him a fair shot at his defense if he is still in the county jail.
Now, we know he was being held in Wakulla County, had been transferred there because of the connection kind of with the sheriff's office in Leon County. Would this be something that could prompt a change of venue at some point to another county, or would you think this is a case that would end up staying in Leon County Court, even with him being held in another county?
And that is a great question. I've had several clients where there has been a conflict on which county and county jail that my clients are held in, and they spend their time on zero bond, or if they can't produce bond, then they sit in a different county because of that conflict. Does not necessarily mean that there will be a change of venue. That's just for the conflict situation. The defense attorney will need to go ahead and make the move to have the venue changed if that's what the defense decides to do. But that does not mean that it's leaving Leon County.
A case like this that is so high profile that according to the arrest affidavit, it sounds like there is a lot of video showing many of the things that are kind of laid out in the in the affidavit, in the charges against him. It's, I would imagine, a difficult situation for a public defender to kind of find themselves in.
And I was previously a public defender in the Ninth Circuit. So it is a difficult thing, but understanding that there are things that the public defender can do, including some gag orders, making sure, because there is going to be a lot of media attention on this case. It's not just Florida. There are a lot of families around the country, maybe the world, that had students attending Florida State at the time. So it is going to have a lot of media attention, but there are some things that the public defender may be able to do to limit the exposure, to gag certain things that could be exposed to the public.
Do you expect those to be motions that we see coming from Ikner's team likely?
I would assume so. And we hate to say it, but sometimes certain crimes only have a short window. So it depends on how much attention the case gets. If it does become a problem, there's a lot of talking, it's tainting any sort of jury pool, no matter where the jurisdiction is. I would assume that they would make a motion for gag and not to have certain witnesses or other people talking about the case.
All right, Stacey Felter from Felter Law, we really appreciate your perspective, and thanks for joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus, getting our first looks at the NFL schedule that was released last night. Taking a look at that, probably 17-0 for your team, whatever that may be after you see that schedule. Well, joining us live now to break all this down for us is Brandon Kravitz, who is the host of In the Zone on 96.9 The Game. Brandon, always good talking with you. We appreciate you joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. It's amazing how big this NFL schedule release has become, but I think it just speaks to our thirst for the game.
That's a good point, because I mean, who would have thought it would be such a big deal? Like, it's one of those things where it's like this meeting could have been an email. We could just still look online and see it, but we see these release videos. I mean, it all happens at the same time. It is kind of crazy.
The NFL has mastered the art of making every little thing they do feel like it's the biggest deal in the world. And they're also really good at not just doing that, but dropping these sort of morsels throughout the calendar year so that you don't go more than 2 weeks without thinking about the NFL. And the next thing you know, we're going to be into training camp, and we're going to have hype videos coming out of certain rookies or players that have switched teams. And it's just the wheel never stops turning. That's an incredible league when it comes to the marketability, and we'll speak to some of the things and beats that they've hit on in terms of the schedule here in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise when you talk about the way they kind of pace these things out. It's no surprise that they are the biggest sports league, and the most profitable and all that. They know what they're doing.
For sure. And I think it's like one hand feeds the other, though. I don't think that it's not like the NBA or Major League Baseball couldn't figure out how to do this. The NFL does seem to do it better, but people also care more. I think if you had a Major League Baseball schedule release, everybody would go, okay, all the teams play each other. No surprise. I mean, you're going to see the Dodgers and the Yankees in prime time, and then go to the NBA. It's the same thing. Okay, every team plays every team. You play the teams in your division 4 times. The Lakers and the Warriors are going to be on prime time along with the Celtics and the Knicks. So I don't think that the other leagues are able to pull this off the way the NFL can, because of the limited nature of the schedule and just the mass amount of fans. And the Q rating right now for the NFL is through the roof. That's why they can get away with these things that are otherwise nonsense comparatively to the rest of the sports calendar year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's talk a little bit about the schedule. I want to get into the Florida teams, but before we do that, anything just kind of overall that kind of stands out to you?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is that the NFL has officially said Christmas is ours. Get away, NBA. We're taking it from you. And they have also designated the Chiefs as their Christmas team. I think this is now year 3 in a row where they've had the Chiefs on Christmas, and they are now doubling and tripling down on Chiefs interests. They have more primetime games than any other team. Despite how big that Dallas Cowboys brand is, the Chiefs actually usurp them when it comes to overall primetime standalone games. They've got 7 of them, and one of them is against the Dallas Cowboys in that 4 o'clock window on Thanksgiving. So you've got not only the most primetime games throughout the course of the season, you also have the Chiefs now on 2 mega TV watching holidays in Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I don't know if they've already struck a deal with Taylor Swift and her people, but the numbers will be through the roof as if they weren't going to be already. I am predicting, and I don't think it's a hot take to say this, that Chiefs-Cowboys game on Thanksgiving Day will be the highest-rated regular season game in the history of the NFL.
Wow. That is a matchup for sure. But the Christmas thing is interesting to me, because that always has been, you talked about the NBA. That always has been the NBA on Christmas. It just kind of goes hand in hand. But the NFL really is starting to take that over too.
Yeah, and personally, I don't like it. The NFL owns any day that they want, and the fact that they're stomping on what I think is it's a sacred holiday for many, of course, but I mean, for a sports fan, that's always been an NBA day, and it still is. The NBA is not going to back away from Christmas, but even if I try and dig in on going full slate NBA, you can't avoid the fact that, hey, you flip over to Netflix and there's an NFL game. I don't like that the NFL has infiltrated this holiday. Perhaps this year it's different. Like if the Christmas lands on a Sunday, I don't expect the NFL to move for the NBA. Christmas this year lands on a Thursday, so another reason why the NFL would definitely not shy away, but it doesn't matter. Christmas could be on a Tuesday. They are going to play multiple games now, and I just wish that they had some level of grace for these other sports leagues, but that's just not the way that this business operates.
Cutthroat, Brandon.
Very.
All right, now let's talk about some of these Florida teams. The Buccaneers, they've got, what, 4 primetime matchups?
Yeah, so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, let's see, I actually have the primetime breakdown here. The Bucs, yes, they're right there with the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, the Packers. I'm surprised to see some of those teams only sitting there with 4. The Steelers, because of that quarterback situation, not knowing who's going to be playing that position that's so big when talking about these primetime games. I think where you look and say, okay, some of these teams we could quibble over. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson and they're perennial contenders. They should have more primetime games. Why is it that the Atlanta Falcons have 1 extra primetime game over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What makes the Falcons so much more interesting than the Bucs? So perhaps something to take a look at. I don't know what the league sees in the Falcons. And I would also spin that locally. The Miami Dolphins have 5 as well. And I don't really understand the general interest in that team. They have not been very good the last couple of years.
The Dolphins do have some challenges playing their 5 of their first 8 games on the road, so not necessarily favorable to them. They'll also be playing in Spain even.
Yeah, and you've got, on top of that, 3 divisional games in the first 4 weeks of the season, so that's tough. They have a gauntlet between weeks 9 and 11. They play the Ravens, the Bills, and the Commanders in 3 consecutive weeks, and then a fun one for the state. The Fins and the Bucks will take each other on a couple of days after Christmas on that Sunday after the Christmas holiday, so fun one for the state.
What about the Jaguars? What stands out to you about their schedule?
I think they have a chance to start hot. 2 home games in the first 3. You get the Bengals in week 2, which is a really good time to get Cincinnati because they've been historically a slow starter since Joe Burrow has taken over at the quarterback position. Big game on Monday night, week 5 against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's one of the many primetime games for Kansas City. Jacksonville has a chance to show out in that situation. And then a lot of travel is one of the things that stands out to me between week 7 and 10. You have London, then you get a bye week, then you go to Vegas, and then Houston. So they're going to be on the road quite a bit in that middle portion of the season. It's good that they took the bye. I believe, if I remember correctly, last year, they went from London straight to Jacksonville and played the very next week. I think that bye week after a London game and all of that travel is crucial, so I'm glad that they got it.
We know the Buccaneers have the 14th easiest strength of schedule. What do you think? What do you expect from the Buccaneers this year?
And usually, when you win the division, you don't get that luxury. But I think what it comes down to is the divisions that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing against. Of course, they're going to play against the NFC South, so they get those 3 teams 2 times each throughout the course of the schedule. But the conference or the division in the AFC that the NFC South is playing is the AFC East. And outside of Buffalo, there's some manageable games in there between the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. The Patriots could be on the rise. The Jets are likely on a downswing, and the Miami Dolphins are about as middle of the pack as it gets. So they have an opportunity there to stack up a lot of wins between their own division and the division that they face out in the AFC. But they do have a tough stretch between week 5 and week 8. 3 of those 4 games are on the road, and the lone home game is against the San Francisco 49ers. They might not be as good, speaking of San Francisco, as they were a year ago, but that's still going to be a formidable group.
All right, so bottom line it for me. What we should be watching for as we kind of look ahead to that next thing on the NFL calendar and the with the start of training camp. What are you looking with the most anticipation toward when you look at these schedules?
For me, I cannot wait to get to the preseason and see how this Browns quarterback situation plays itself out between Dylan Gabriel, Shador Sanders. You got old man Joe Flacco, who's still the favorite to be the guy who takes the first snap this season, but apparently Shador Sanders is out playing Dylan Gabriel early on in these rookie mini camps. So take that for what it's worth, but that is going to be absolute theater, and that is a reason to plug into the NFL in early August before we even get to the thick of it at the start of September. So that's going to be one of the big ones. And then how some of these second-year quarterbacks come around. Bo Nix put together a really good first season. Was impressed, of course, with what we saw from Jaden Daniels. Is he able to back that up? I think a lot of people are going to have the New England Patriots as one of those big jump up teams year over year, and Drake May would be the biggest reason why. And then Michael Penix, who didn't really get a full showcase of what he can do, and he'll have that opportunity with Atlanta. And perhaps that is what the NFL is banking on, is that he's going to be pretty good, and he's a sensational passer when it's all clicking for him. We just haven't really seen what it looks like. So we have an influx. It's sort of a changing of the guard. The older quarterbacks have withered away. Brady is retired. Aaron Rodgers is somewhere between ayahuasca and retirement. And now you've got this young guard that's taking over. So are they able to do it?
You mentioned Bo Nix, and the Broncos certainly seem to be like a team on the cusp there. And bringing in R.J. Harvey, it sounds like they're going to, he's going to have some chances to really bolster that Broncos running game, and could be a key part of making that a dangerous team.
I think so. I think the Broncos, that AFC West division is so tough to pick, because you want to give Kansas City their due respect, but you could see them, especially the way they were exposed in the Super Bowl. They're getting older. They haven't really been able to replenish the talent. That Mahomes contract is starting to really limit their ability to fill in the gaps around him. And it's just tough to stay on top in the NFL. Then you have the up and coming, not San Diego anymore, LA Chargers with Jim Harbaugh as their coach. He is known for being able to turn things around quickly. It feels like he's already done that. And Justin Herbert still has so much more room left to hit that eventual ceiling of his. And then you have the Denver Broncos, who racked up a ton of sacks last year. They have one of the best cornerback duos in the NFL. They doubled down on that in the draft. And then you add R.J. Harvey into that backfield. And Sean Payton, let's not forget what this guy did out in New Orleans. Guys like Pierre Thomas became a star in the backfield for him when Drew Brees was the quarterback. Of course, Alvin Kamara, who came out of absolutely nowhere and became one of the most sensational backs in the league. When Sean Payton decides you're his running back, that usually means you're going to be productive. We know what R.J. Harvey can do, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he put together something that looked like Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta put it all out on the line. I mean, he's gonna have a hard time, of course, because let's not forget the #1 overall pick was a quarterback in Cam Ward, and he will be the front runner for that. But if he stumbles at all, I think R.J. Harvey should be in the driver's seat when you think about that at the running back position, ahead of a guy like Ashton Genty. Genty goes to the Raiders. I like Genty, but there's only so much you can do when the team around you isn't very good. Defenses are going to be able to stack the box and say, beat us with your rookie running back. You can't do that against Bo Nix and Sean Payton run Denver Broncos offense. So I think R.J. Harvey, it's not about a talent thing. It's more about situation. I just think he's in a better spot year one in his career.
All right. Well, we will see a lot of exciting things to look forward to. Brandon Kravitz, host of In the Zone on 96.9 The Game. Really appreciate you joining us and breaking all that down for us. It's been fun.
Yes. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, that is just about going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. One more sports note before we wrap up here, and that is the Florida Panthers just one win away from the Eastern Conference Final. They dominated the Toronto Maple Leafs last night in Game 5, 6-1, I believe the final score in that one. They now come back to Florida, playing that game tomorrow night at 8 p.m. in Sunrise for Game 6, hoping to put that series away. And what a series it has been after trailing 2-0 in that as well. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus. Appreciate you joining us this morning. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock for another live hour of Florida Live, and then at 4 for another live hour of Fox 35 News Plus. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a live look at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you soon.